My name is Norman, and I'm 72 years old. 3 months ago, I got the call. Stage 3 colon cancer. The doctor's office was cold and sterile. I remember staring at a poster on the wall about digestive health while she explained treatment options, survival rates, and all the medical details. And you know what went through my mind? Not fear, not anger, just a strange thought. So this is how my story ends. But here's what nobody tells you about getting news like that. The first week, you're numb. You tell your family. You make appointments. You research treatments. You're in survival mode. Honestly, it's the second week when it hits you. Really hits you. One morning I woke up and looked at my wife sleeping next to me, and I started crying. Not because I was scared of dying. I was crying because I suddenly saw my entire life laid out in front of me like a map, and I could see all the places where I took the wrong turns. I spent 38 years as an accountant. I was good at it. I made decent money, provided for my family, and retired with a pension. But here's the truth. I never admitted until cancer forced me to face it. I hated it. Not every day, but most days. I hated the fluorescent lights, the endless spreadsheets, the performance reviews, the office politics. I stayed because it was safe, because it paid the bills, because that's what responsible adults are supposed to do. When I was 23, I wanted to be a woodworker. I loved working with my hands, creating things. My grandfather taught me when I was a kid. We built a bookshelf together when I was 12, and I still have it in my living room. But woodworking doesn't pay well. It's not stable. So I went into accounting because my father said it was practical. And you know what? He was right. It was practical. It just wasn't mine. Now I'm not saying everyone should quit their job and follow some dream. That's not realistic advice. Bills have to be paid. Kids need shoes. I understand that. But there's a difference between making a living and making a life, and most of us get so caught up in the making a living part that we forget about the other half entirely. After my diagnosis, something shifted inside me. My oncologist laid out an aggressive treatment plan, chemotherapy, possible surgery, the whole thing. Of course I agreed, but I also went down to my garage, cleared out 20 years of accumulated junk, and set up a proper workshop. I bought some good tools and started working with wood again for the first time in decades. My wife thought I'd lost my mind. She said, "Norman, shouldn't you be resting, conserving your strength?" And maybe she had a point. Chemotherapy makes me tired. Some days I can barely get out of bed. But on the days when I can work even just for an hour or two, I feel more alive than I have in years. Last week I finished a jewelry box for my granddaughter, walnut with maple inlays. It's not perfect. My hands shake more than they used to, but it's real. It's something I made. Here's what cancer teaches you that nothing else can. You don't have unlimited time to become the person you want to be. When you're young, 40 years feels infinite. Even at 50 or 60, you tell yourself there's still time. There's always tomorrow. But sometimes tomorrow doesn't come, or it comes with an expiration date stamped on it. I've been thinking a lot about regret lately. Not the big dramatic regrets like cheating on your spouse or committing some terrible crime. I never did anything like that. It's the quiet regrets that haunt you. The dinner parties I skipped because I was tired. The times my kids asked me to throw a ball around and I said maybe later because I had work to finish. The weekend trips my wife wanted to take that I postponed because we should save money. All those little moments where I chose the safe, practical option over the living option. My son came to visit last month. He's 47 now and works in insurance. We were sitting in my workshop, and I was showing him how to use a chisel properly. He said something that broke my heart. He said, "Dad, I didn't know you could do this. I wish you had taught me when I was a kid." And the truth is, I wish I had too. But I was too busy working late. Too busy being responsible. Too busy preparing for a future that I thought would last forever. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. We're all terminal. Every single one of us. Some of us just have a clearer timeline than others. That sounds morbid, but it's actually liberating once you accept it. It means every choice you make today matters, not someday. Today. The strangest part about having cancer is how people start treating you differently. Their voices get softer. Their eyes fill with pity. They say things like, "Stay strong, and you've got this." And I appreciate it. I really do. But sometimes I want to tell them that they should be asking themselves these same questions too, without waiting for a diagnosis to force them. I'm not cured. The doctors are cautiously optimistic, but it's still uncertain. I might have 5 years, I might have 10, I might have 6 months. Nobody really knows. But I'll tell you what has changed. I don't waste time on things that don't matter anymore. I don't argue about politics with my brother-in-law. I don't stress about the stock market. I don't care if the neighbor's lawn looks better than mine. Instead, I spend time in my workshop. I have long conversations with my wife where we actually listen to each other. I call my kids not to give advice but just to hear their voices. I teach my granddaughter how to sand wood properly, how to feel the grain, how to be patient with your hands. These are small things. They won't change the world, but they're changing my world, and that's the only one I've got. If you're listening to this and thinking, well, that's nice for Norman, but I can't just quit my job and become a woodworker, then you're missing the point. I'm not telling you to copy my life. I'm telling you to look at your own life honestly and ask yourself a simple question. Am I living or am I just existing? There's a moment during chemotherapy, about 2 hours in, when the drugs really start hitting your system. Your mouth tastes metallic and your body feels heavy. In those moments, I don't think about my career or my retirement account. I think about my wife's laugh. I think about the smell of sawdust. I think about my daughter falling asleep on my shoulder during long car rides. Those are the things that matter. Everything else is just noise. For 72 years I played by the rules. I did what was expected. I was a good employee, a good husband, a good father, but I wasn't always good to myself. I didn't honor the things that made me who I really am. My grandfather once told me something I didn't understand until now. He said, "Norman, at the end of your life, nobody's going to care how clean you kept your desk." At the time, I thought he was just being folksy. But he was trying to tell me something important. He was trying to tell me to live. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. Don't wait for cancer, a heart attack, or some other crisis to give yourself permission to live the life you actually want. You don't need permission. You already have it. The only question is whether you'll use it. I started chemotherapy on a Tuesday. That Saturday, even though I felt terrible, I went down to my shop and started a new project, a hand-carved chess set for my son. Will I finish it? I don't know, but I'm going to try, because trying matters. Showing up for the things that make you feel human matters. Some of you listening are in jobs you hate. Some of you are in relationships that no longer fulfill you. Some of you have dreams you put away 20 years ago and promised yourself you'd come back to someday. But that someday keeps getting pushed further and further away. Stop pushing it. Start today. I'm not going to promise that following your dreams will solve all your problems, or that everything will magically work out. Life doesn't work like that. But living with intention, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, is far better than sleepwalking through existence. My prognosis isn't great, but it isn't hopeless either. Maybe I'll beat this. Maybe I won't. Either way, I'm spending whatever time I have left doing things that matter to me, with people I love, creating things with my hands. And that's more than a lot of people can say, even people who are perfectly healthy. On this channel, we share life advice and real experiences. If this story meant something to you, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. And if it touched you in some way, leave a comment telling me what you're going to start doing differently. Because while I'm still here, I've got more to say. And maybe the next story we share could be yours.